Welcome to Ohio Roots, the official podcast of the Ohio Genealogical Society. Join us as we embark on a captivating journey through Ohio's rich genealogy, history, and abundant resources. Hosted by me, OGS Executive Director Noel Poirier, this podcast brings you insightful conversations with a diverse array of guests, from OGS members, chapter leaders, and staff to renowned genealogists, historians, and influential figures within the genealogical community. Each episode delves into fascinating topics and captivating stories. So grab your headphones, hit that play button, and join us on this enthralling journey of Ohio's roots. My guest on this episode of the Ohio Roots podcast is Carol Swinehart of the Palatines to America Ohio chapter. They're also known as the German Genealogy Society. Carol joined us today to talk about the Palatines to America, who they are, what kind of research they conduct, the kind of programs and opportunities they offer for learning about German genealogy to Ohio and to the United States. And I think you'll really enjoy our conversation today. Well, I'd like to welcome Carol Swinehart of the Ohio chapter of Palatines to America to the Ohio Roots podcast today. Carol, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
I really appreciate it. I'm going to start with a question I ask all of our guests before we get started into what we're going to talk about. But I want to know what it is that got you interested in family history and genealogy in the first place. What lit your fire?
When I was pregnant with my first son, my in-laws gave me a book that had 3 dwarfs in it. Now, I have short people on my mother's side of the family and my father's side of the family. So I wondered if we were going to have dwarfs in the family, and I said, who are these people? And they said, we don't know. So I started looking. That's what got me really interested. And their family, I was living in Ohio, and their family was from Ohio. And then we traced them out of Ohio into Pennsylvania and eventually back into Germany, because they came directly from Germany to Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Whereas some people came into New York first and then into Pennsylvania and then into Ohio.
Were you able to identify those 3 individuals?
No. Well, one of them, yes, but the rest of them I never have figured out who they were, except one of their children died young, and perhaps that was him. I don't know. I did not find any other dwarfs in the Swinehart family, so I figured, just friends of the family. I don't know. I don't know who these people were, but that's what got me interested. And because my husband's family was relatively easy to do because there were a lot of them, and I was in the place where the books were, and the gravestones were, and everything, it was much easier to start on his family as opposed to my family, because we lived in Ohio and my family came in to New York later.
Okay.
So,
well, for our listeners who aren't familiar, because you're here to discuss a little bit about the Ohio chapter of Palatines to America. So for our listeners who aren't completely familiar with the term Palatine, can you describe what that word means from a genealogical perspective?
Well, actually, it's a corruption of German. I mean, that's when people came into Pennsylvania, they didn't know what to call them, and they called them Palatines. The Germans were called Palatines. The actual meaning of it, though, if you want to go there, because it doesn't mean much, the people that were called Palatines that came in to New York in the 1709, they were some of them were from the Fells, which is translated Palatine, area of Germany, but not all of them. But when they came to Pennsylvania, they were all called Palatines. So it's a corruption of using the word Germans. That's what they called them, Palatines. But there is an actual area in Germany that would be considered the Palatine area, but not all the people that supposedly came from there actually did. So it gets a little confusing. That's why they used it originally.
Okay. It sounds like just somebody decided they were going to be too lazy to figure out where everybody was actually from.
Yes, exactly. Well, this was early on in the early 1700s.
Right.
And, they didn't speak English. They were Palatines.
Yeah.
That was it.
And talk to me about what the Ohio chapter of Palatines to America does.
Well, the Ohio chapter of Palatines to America is a member of the larger organization, Palatines to America, but it's the first chapter. We were the chapter that established the whole organization. We established the library in Columbus, which is now part of the Columbus Public Library. We have a collection in the Columbus Public Library. And we kept the organization running from the very beginning. Now there's other chapters. There's an Indiana chapter, there's a Colorado chapter, there's a New York chapter, and there's a North Carolina chapter. But the Ohio chapter has its own benefits to membership. We have biannual seminars, which our next seminar is coming up on the 19th of October, and we are going to have, this will be on Zoom, a speaker from Germany who will be in Germany when she's speaking. And she knows a lot about the history of Germany that people don't usually talk about. Her name is Ursula Kraus. She's a professional German genealogist with a law degree. So she will be very interesting to hear about. And a topic that is not normally talked about in the genealogy world for German genealogists is what happened in Augsburg on September 25th, 1555, one of the most important historic events in German history. I have no idea. I'm very interested in hearing that talk. She's also doing another talk on migration patterns. And then we're going to have in the afternoon a lady, Jessica Taylor, who's a professional genealogist and coach, and she is going to be talking about how to use AI in genealogy, which is a brand new topic that a lot of people don't know much about. Our organization does not just deal with German ancestors. These are German-speaking ancestors from Germany, Austria, Alsace, Belgium, Brazil, Italy, Luxembourg, Liechtenstein, Poland, Russia, Switzerland, Denmark, the Netherlands, Slovakia, and I can't say this right, but I'll try, Pakistan, Namibia, Romania, and the Ukraine. So we cover a lot of areas of German-speaking people.
So essentially, when we talk about, Palatines to America organization, you're really a general German genealogy organization across the board then.
Yes, they started out, the people that organized from the very beginning, they had a lot of real Palatine ancestors from the Fells in Germany. And so they picked that name. But the actual name of the organization now is Palatines to America German Genealogy Society. That's the full name.
I think that would probably make it clearer for folks who are just getting started.
Yeah, exactly. It is. The Ohio chapter gives these biannual seminars. We have a group called the German Community Forum Series. Now, the seminars are pay-for events. The German Community Forum Series, which is a free program that's offered on Zoom once a month, except during the months that have seminars or the 3 summer months, June, July, and August. And it's very popular. We have a lot of people that come to that. You can learn all kinds of different things. Our next one is on September 14th. Tom Shannon from the Germantown. He is a Germantown historian, the official Germantown historian, is going to talk on how to use the Hank Jones collection. Hank Jones donated his private manuscripts to the Palatine organization, the main organization, and the New York chapter. And they're in a library in Germantown, and he's going to be talking about how to use those and find the origin of your immigrant ancestor. If they came over early in 1709 into New York and then moved on to Pennsylvania or Maryland or somewhere and eventually got to Ohio. He's also going to be talking about the East and West Camp cemeteries. So we have a lot of different speakers who talk on different topics, but we're trying to get people to find the place of origin in Germany, or Switzerland, or any of those other places that I mentioned, so they can find their ancestors in those areas and continue tracing them back into history. We also offer a free, if you are a member of the Ohio chapter, we offer a free service where if you're just starting out with your research or you've been researching for a long time and you've run into a roadblock and you don't know where to look now, we'll look at your research. You have to sort of summarize it and tell us what sources you've used, and tell you where you might find more information. We've been able to help quite a few people in finding more information in areas that they didn't really think of or they didn't know about, especially in Germany. Because they get over there and then they go, oh my gosh, what should I do now? And they don't know. So even if they have the name of the origin city, they don't, if they're just starting out in Germany, they don't know, or in Switzerland or Belgium or any of those other places.
Right.
So that's a special thing that the Ohio chapter does.
Unlock the mysteries of your ancestry with the Ohio Genealogical Society at www.ogs.org. Dive deep into your family's past and connect with fellow enthusiasts. Join us now for exclusive access to expert insights, resources, and a vibrant community. Visit www.ogs.org and start your genealogical journey today. If you enjoy listening to the Ohio Roots podcast, we would really appreciate it if you could go to whatever platform it is that you listen and give us a good review. Reviews help us get more listeners and reach more people with Ohio Roots and what we're trying to do with the Ohio Genealogical Society. So please leave us a nice review, and thanks for listening. What would you say from a research standpoint when folks are working on their German ancestors? What's the greatest challenge? Is it access to the records? Is it the age of the records? What's the greatest challenge to tracing your ancestor back?
Anymore, it's not access to the records. If you have money, if you don't have money, you can really only use. There are free resources out there, but Family Search is the best if you are on a very limited budget. If you are not on a limited budget, there are so many sites out there that you can pay to get into, like Ancestry, Archeon, which is the Lutheran German records that cover Germany and Austria. Matricula, if you have Catholic people, you're in luck because it's free. And those are from Germany, those records. There are other records available now, Matricula is free. I think the ones in Poland are free also. But Archeon, which is the Lutheran, is very useful, but it does cost to read their records. And then there's, of course, the challenge of actually reading the German script,
right.
which is why this seminar that we have coming up where the lady talks about AI, there are AI resources out there to help you read the German script. They actually do pretty good. I tested them out myself. I can read some German. I know German church words pretty good. But reading the old script is extremely hard, and that's what this AI can help you do. So if it gets like, say, 75% there, maybe you know when they were born and their parents' names and so forth, and even AI can't read this scribbled version of the town. But at least you'll get something from them. So that has made it a lot easier, and access to the records has been a lot easier. You don't have to go to Germany now to read church records. So things have gotten easier, but there's still the challenge of when you find the record, can you actually read it?
Right.
Is it actually the same John Meyer that you're looking for? Because in families, they name their children after relatives, and John is a very common name, so you have to go through a lot of stuff to figure out who you're looking, if that's the real guy.
Right.
But it's made it a lot easier. So,
well, that's good. How many folks belong to the Ohio chapter, or in general? I guess let's talk about it more in general. How many folks are associated with the Palatines to America?
About 800.
Wow.
Now, if you are a member of the Ohio chapter or any of the other chapters, you have membership. You get membership fees to go to their seminars. So if I wanted to go to a Colorado chapter seminar online, I would pay the member fee for PALAM, not the non-member fee. So there's an advantage there. You are also a member of the IGGP organization, which is an organization in Germany, and they are having a conference Friday through Sunday, June 13th to 15th, 2025. And Palatines to America is the official host for the conference. There's also going to be a celebration of the Palatines anniversary there. And the Ohio chapter, of course, because it's in Ohio, and it will be in the Lewis Center at the Nationwide Hotel and Conference Center in the suburb Lewis Center. You'll see a lot of the Ohio people there, of course, because we're the official hosts. But there will be people from the other chapters that are coming in to help out also. So we are involved with a lot of organizations, and right now, this is the big push right now, is to be helping this conference. So for that reason, this coming year in 2025, we are not having a spring conference. We are just going to help with this IGGP conference. And those are German speakers. It's only in person. People come in from Germany, speakers come in from Germany, and other American speakers that are very good in German research to help you with your research. And it's extremely important to talk to people at these conferences. I found my husband's family's place of origin in Germany because I talked to somebody at a conference early on, and I said, this man was the deacon in this church. Why is there no obituary or death record for him there? And they looked at me and said, the pastor wasn't at the church. That church, he had a charge where he moved from church to church on different days. He was at the Augusta church that day, and that's where the obituary is. And I was like, oh my gosh. And in the obituary, it told what town they were from in Germany.
That's
so
great.
It was wonderful. And I would have never found that unless I had talked to somebody at a conference, because it wasn't in writing anywhere. She was a researcher who wrote books, but he didn't come into New York early. It wasn't part of the books that she was writing. She had just run across him and remembered that name, and it was great. There is such a good reason to show up to these places in person if if it's available. Sure. Because you could talk to people and they can know your people, and it's like, wow, this is great.
So Carol, tell me, where can people learn more about the Ohio chapter of Palatines to America? Do you have a website, Facebook presence?
We do have a website, OH-Palam, that's PALAM.org. And on that site, there's links back to the national site. There's links to joining, or if you're already a member, renewing. We have the information about the Saturday German Community Forum series is up. The seminar in October will be up in the next few days here. We just wanted to make sure that all the contracts were signed before we put it up online, but that is in place, and I'm the one that does the website, so I know when I have the finalized information, but I don't have that quite yet. But it will be on the 19th of October. Save the date. It will be on Zoom only because the people are going to be speaking on Zoom. So, if you come to a place and the speaker's not really there, it's difficult. But it was very expensive to get people to come in from Germany.
I can imagine. In
the past, and now with Zoom, it's very easy to get them to speak because they'll speak on Zoom. So it makes it a lot easier, but you lose some of that personal contact too.
Yeah. Well, Carol Swinehart of the Ohio chapter of Palatines to America, thank you so much for joining me today on the Ohio Roots podcast and talking a little bit about the chapter and what your activities are, and giving us a little bit of information that I think will be helpful to folks who are looking to search their German genealogy. So thanks for being here today, Carol. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Well, as you can see, the Palatine to America Ohio chapter is busy, offering all kinds of programs and activities and all kinds of opportunities for you to research your German genealogy to Ohio. I want to thank Carol Swinehart for joining us again today, and thank you all for listening to the Ohio Roots Podcast.
The Ohio Roots Podcast is brought to you by the Ohio Genealogical Society, the premier gateway for discovering your Ohio family history. Hosted by OGS Executive Director Noel Poyer and edited by Luke Poyer. Theme song is Beautiful Ohio, recorded by Bob Stanley and his orchestra in 1944. To learn more about joining the Ohio Genealogical Society, visit www.ogs.org.